This is part two, Sex Game, the rise and fall of hip hop and rap music, part two. Now, the 1970s draw to its near close, and the 1980s takes place. Now we're in the cocaine era. It is the era of cocaine. Everyone is getting on cocaine. You know, you got athletes who play college sports, pro sports is messing with cocaine. You've got artists who were once great in those 1970s. They could not transition from the 1970s to the 1980s because they were on cocaine. They were experimenting on experimental drugs, and the experimental drugs that they were messing with was messing with their career. You had friendships get destroyed because of cocaine. You had marriages, relationships get destroyed because of cocaine, because of the cocaine crack epidemic that came in the 1980s when Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States of America. And at that time, he had to basically do those commercials. It was the 80s. Mike Tyson popped up into heavyweight boxing. Nobody had never seen anybody like Mike Tyson just knock people out in the first round, second round, third round. As a kid, I had never been introduced to the world of boxing. And anytime they would show Mike Tyson's highlights, I would always take my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures and try to make them fight Shredder like they were Mike Tyson. You know, it was the 80s. You know, Michael Jordan popped up in the NBA. Nobody had never seen a basketball player in the 80s like Michael Jordan. You know, Michael Jordan came in that draft, and the Chicago Bulls were now on the map. No one had never seen a guy be called Air Jordan. You know, the 80s, it was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird was dominating in basketball. You look in professional football, you had the Raiders on top of the world. That was a great time to be a Raiders fan. And if it was basketball, you tune in to watch the Lakers and the Celtics. It was must-see TV. Cable came into existence. You know, we went from 1970s introduced us to having color and television, to the 80s, we got primetime television, we got cable. It's a new era. And it was no longer hip-hop, it was now rap music. And the news kind of demonized rap music, like they really did, because it wasn't hip-hop. Most people had accepted hip-hop, but it was now the 80s. People like Run DMC was slowly but maturely was fading into the background, because now they were trying to transition from the 80s to the 1990s, and you could see that LL Cool J just kind of became the guy in the 80s. Michael Jackson took over the 80s. Michael Jackson, Prince, LL Cool J, they just took over the 80s as a solo star. AWA came into the picture, and they were targeted because no one had never thought gangster rap would be so aggressive on the mic. Ice Cube came in as the aggressive rapper, the in-your-face rapper, the rapper that's telling you how hard it is in the streets rapper. Dr. Dre provided the writing. He came in and produced the tracks, wrote the rhymes, and DJ Yella would be on the mic, and he would be the guy that would try to, I'm gonna be the calm before the storm in the rap. And Eazy-E was the star who would get on the mic and tell you how he felt, how the hood was. Eazy-E would be that guy that would kind of tell you, yeah, this ain't your bedtime stories. These are bedtime stories in the hood. That's how Eazy-E would get on the mic and tell you. And then at that same time period, Tupac Shakur was kind of popping up in the 80s. You could see somewhere like around 87, 88, Tupac hooked up with Underground Digital and Digital Underground. And I remember those songs because back in the day, guys would drive their little cars up the street, down the street, bumping the music loud. And that's when we first got introduced to the term police pullover. That means you would be driving, and if they saw you bumping some NWA or Public Enemies or Ice Cube, when Ice Cube defected from NWA, and you were in there listening to that, you got pulled over by the police, because police do not like rap music. Police accepted, hip-hop, because it was a nice version of music. It was something new. It was something fresh. But hip hop turned into rap, and then rap turned into gangster rap, and they were not huge fans of it. And I remember, I can't tell you, I can't even begin to describe to you that we had the Compton riots, the South Central riots, where they just break out everywhere. And when I mean they broke out everywhere, they did. There were days where I couldn't go to school. And the days that I didn't go to school, somebody would be playing Public Enemies. Somebody would be playing, Fight the Power, NWA, you know the words, forget the police. I'm trying to keep it PG here. As you do know, this content is for adults. It's not for kids. I was supposed to say it in my last video, and I did not. Now, the point is, in the 80s was that period where music was just popping up. And then you see, the best part about the 80s, the second half, is that the music industry had to stop being sexist towards women. Women were complaining that in the 70s and the early 80s, nobody wanted to see black women get on the mic and speak. And it wasn't until a light-skinned black woman in New York who also had a rap name named Delight decided, hey, I wanna transition from singing love songs to rap music. This is when it became a great time for a black woman to start getting on the mic and start rapping. And it wasn't until those late 80s, early 90s that the music industry kind of said, all right, we're going to have to let women start singing on the mic. That's when female rappers pop up from out of nowhere. It was like the late 80s, early 90s. At this time period, Tupac came in the game dominating. Biggie kind of came maybe around 91, 92. That's when Biggie popped off. This is when we had the industry change the sound of music. And this is when, politicians would reference, rappers from their songs and their lyrics into their political debates. And you can see how Tupac would get in trouble for talking about how certain people should not be trying to run for political power, and that got Tupac in trouble in the studios. They would tell, Tupac would be in and out of court. Every single time you turn around, he put out a hot selling album, Tupac going in and out of jail. And this is like the late 80s. This is not even in the 90s yet. We haven't even got to Tupac in his prime yet. Ice Cube was in his prime because Ice Cube was going back and forth with NWA. And at that time, Boyz II Men popped up in the 80s. And they were like the guys that if you needed to take a girl out to lunch and dinner, that's who you were listening to was them. Now, when I come back with part 3, I'm not going to do 3 videos in one day, because the rule is when I do one video, my fans, my viewers, you got to tell me if you like the video or if you hate the video. You either thumbs up or thumbs down the video. If you make a comment, you better make positive, respectable comments, because if they're rude, disrespectful comments, like you're talking about somebody's race, somebody's sex, somebody's gender, I will delete the comment and block you so you don't make no more comments, because YouTube is cracking down on people who do that in the comment section, and we don't want no one dissing nobody in the comment section. This is a new series where I talk about my thoughts on being a black man and how did rap music influence me and change me. They would start putting it into the rap songs. So each time I do a rap video, we're going to say rap music in this or rap music in that. Like when I get to part 3 is going to probably be entitled Sex Game, The Rise and Fall of Hip Hop and Rap. And in the description, the title will say sex in music, because now they started talking about sex all of a sudden. It wasn't until the 1990s that they would now start going into talking about sex, drugs, and how that had an effect on us as young people. So 1970s is focusing on the history. 1980s is talking about how we went from hip-hop to rap. Part 3 is going to be talking about sex, as in letting women rap. What I thought about female rap artists, that's what part 3 will be about. Part 4 will be talking about the West Coast versus East Coast, how that's affected all of us. And if those are well received, if they're well received, I may come back with a part 5. Usually when I get to a 3 or a 4, People get bored. They want to see something else uploaded on YouTube. And so we got to see how these videos are going to turn out. These are like early Christmas presents. Now, do you expect a video every single day of the week? Probably not. Now, you guys tell me if you like part 1, you don't like part 1, if you guys like part 2, if you don't like part 2. If you like part 1 or you don't like part 1, you either you thumbs down the video. If you don't like part 2, you thumbs down the video if you don't like part 1 and part 2. That's if you just don't like none of the videos. If you like the videos, you thumb up the videos. If you don't thumbs up or thumb down the videos and you don't do the comments and you watch the video, that's okay. I'm not gonna complain like some YouTubers if they don't get no likes. Because there's a YouTuber that's mad that nobody likes his videos, and he's gonna get mad if they don't like the videos. So for me, if you like these videos, you know what to do. Until then, peace.